Halo Infinite was a big hope for a lot of people. It was marketed as something that was going to save the Halo franchise and carry it for years to come. It was going to be open world, a first for Halo, and with what they were showing off with Forge, the possibilities were endless. Open world, couch co-op in general, Forge, and a huge multiplayer focus with content being released on a set schedule. It sounded so good. It was what Halo fans wanted to be told, and people really hoped that 343 wouldn't botch Halo Infinite like they had previous titles. Now, just for some information, 343 Studios was given Halo after Bungie decided, nah dude, we're done with that, and separated from Microsoft to go do Destiny and Destiny 2. Halo, by the time Halo Infinite came out, had fallen from being that legendary franchise that we grew up on. The first 3 games were just so good, which is why it was unfortunate that Halo 4 was generally received as not being great, and Halo 5 had a lot of controversies and negative opinions about it on its own. That being said though, Halo 5's multiplayer scene was handled fairly well by 343, at least in comparison to Infinite. There were a lot of maps, a lot of consistent content, a lot of modes and changes done to the game. Just look at the Halo 5 roadmap we're going to throw up compared to Infinite's roadmap right there. It's kind of crazy how good we had it and we just didn't know at the time. The problems with Infinite started 5 years. That's right, 5 years before the game came out. This all started when 343 began making promises about Halo Infinite, their mouths writing checks that they wouldn't be able to cash in the future. In the year 2017, when talking about the next title, they promised split screen. This wasn't anything big, but it was something that people really looked forward to because Halo 5 Guardians didn't have it in at launch and it made a bunch of people upset. They also promised a massive campaign with dynamic changes, storylines, all that fun stuff, things that we thought would be incredible for a Halo game, something that was going to be refreshing and awesome to see Chief involved in and going through. Now, we should have known better. This is 343 we're talking about. We're talking about a company that consistently flounders when they launch titles and can't even do something like fix their theater mode in Halo games. That's been broken for like 10 years or so now, but in the moment we kind of forget about these things, right? The first footage of Halo Infinite was not good.
Look at this dude.
It looked bland, struggled to run above 30 FPS, and generally had people concerned about the state of the game when it was shown off. The Xbox they were pushing it on was supposed to be the most powerful console ever made, but it kind of looked really terrible, and this is honestly where it started to go downhill. 343 wasn't going to be dissuaded or let anyone question what had been shown off. They in fact doubled down on everything they said. Their head of the company at the time, Bonnie Ross, went on stage, as you can see here, and promised that they were going to focus on things like split screen and really listen to their community this time around.
I don't know if I really know what I'm talking about, but you guys are stuck with me for 20 minutes.
She promised that certain features were going to be present, that they were going to do their best, never wanting to disappoint fans again. It sounded heartfelt and sincere, well, as much as it could from a company, but oh man, if only we knew how false it all was.
I don't know if I really know what I'm talking about.
To say Halo Infinite launched as a mess would be a complete understatement to the entire situation. It was a complete train wreck as far as Halo games go, with large chunks of the game that was promised seemingly missing, and what was present was on fire and on the ground just desperately trying to put out the flames. It was pathetic. A company making a flagship game that literally was on the box of consoles that are being sold as flagship from Microsoft couldn't release a finished title, and it was mind-blowing. Microsoft has like infinite money, and yet Halo Infinite came out in a state that wouldn't even be fair to call early access. It was just sad.
I don't know if I really know what I'm talking about.
The campaign was buggy. This alone is expected from a game these days, but it was really buggy, and a lot of people had issues going through it. There were bugs that deleted all progress and saves to your campaign, like completely deleted everything, and these were common for the first 3 months the game was out. There was also no co-op anywhere in sight. They had initially said co-op was going to be released with the launch of the game, but that had proved to be impossible for this small indie company and their small parent company. A parent company that, mind you, spent $70 billion later on another deal. Like, it didn't even matter. Like, it was just pocket change, but they couldn't make this a feature when their flagship game launched with their console.
I don't know if I really know what I'm talking about.
This alone was enough to make people real, but Forge was also super delayed a year after launch, a year, and only has recently, back in November and December of 2022, started to take off. Also, surprisingly, split screen was nowhere to be found. For the longest time, they promised it was coming for about 6 months or so just to keep people happy, but eventually announced that it was going to be completely scrapped. Their reasoning behind this, they had to reallocate resources from split screen development to live service development instead. A feature that launched with the original Halo game, something that's been in the series since 2001, was too expensive and impossible for 343 to do in the modern gaming era, which is absolutely insane, especially when you consider it was done with a bug multiple times. Want to play with your siblings without owning 2 consoles? Nope. Want to play with your kids if you're a parent? Nah. None of this will ever be possible in Infinite, as that ball has been completely dropped. Remember how I said that split screen a few moments ago was scrapped to reallocate resources to their live service model? To say that their entire model was a train wreck, again, would be another understatement, as it is the single worst example of a live support service a game has ever gotten. Honestly, I think it would have been better if they had just said, nah, we're done, because the constant barrage of disappointment actually had the community boycotting the game and demanding that 343 step down completely from the Halo franchise. Yeah, that's how bad it was and is. Most people currently want 343 to just give up on Halo and for Microsoft to assign it to someone else, because God, individual modders and map makers have done way more work in shorter periods of time than 343 has done over a year plus since launch. Halo Infinite has seasons. The seasons were supposed to only last 3 months at a time and offer a lot of content, but that was shown very quickly to be impossible for 343. Halo Infinite's first season was all right, but the second season was abysmal, lasting for more than a year now, triple the time it was originally supposed to last. For reference, Season 3 comes out in March of 2023, and the game initially launched in November of 2021. That's crazy. There has been almost no content during this time for the game since launch. This was immediately after they promised seasons wouldn't last 6 months or more again. It ran over a year. Season 2 has been over a year in Halo. A year for a season.
All right, I get it!
Sure, there was the winter update that came out in November that they used to say season 2 wasn't going on forever, but it's still season 2. It's not season 3. It's just awful. So what did season 2 offer? 2 maps. That's about it. In the first year of live service of this game, the community was given 2 maps, which were made in Forge, by the way, and not the dev tools of the game used to make the other maps, to hold on and be told that more content was coming. Ah, yes, more content coming from a company that was so horribly inept that they weren't able to make more than 2 maps in an entire year period when modders were pumping out dozens of them a week. Great, awesome. Keep in mind, there weren't even remakes that were promised of older maps. None, nada, no remakes at all. Even though other people had come and gone and done them in the span of days, like previous Bungie developers and Halo developers, 343 couldn't be bothered to do them in more than a year. Cool. This failure was further compounded by the game's XP system, which they promised to fix in Season 3. And I gotta be honest, I've never heard of an FPS game ever saying we need to fix our XP system as a feature in a season, where progression of a battle pass that was implemented was only possible through completing specific challenges and progressing that way. No other way gave you XP, which, by the way, had been told to 343 months before the launch of Infinite by the community was an awful idea. To have progression tied only to mundane challenges and not based on how well you do, that's crazy, we said, but they ignored it anyway. That's right, Halo Infinite had no multiplayer XP progression system. I really need to drive this home. None, nada, zilch. It was tied into challenges and only challenges, making it harder than ever for the average player to progress and complete ranks without just spending money to skip all of it, which you could do, of course. This was all further insulting because the Battle Pass of Season 2 was and is garbage. You had basic colors, boring cosmetics, and stupid emblems, all of which were far lower quality than the stuff that was clearly being focused on, the microtransactions. The stuff in the store looks cool. A lot of it looks amazing. Some of it does, at least. And it was clear when they tried to charge between $5 and $8 for basic colors like blue, where their mindsets were when developing this game, not on giving you free features, but on making money. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if most of the features in the game weren't released because they didn't know how to monetize them. But yeah, way to completely sink the most important game of a console franchise and be greedy the entire way, 343. To be fair, they have released a roadmap for Season 3 seen here, but compared to the roadmap for Halo 5 Guardians when it was launched for the first year after, it's pathetic. Just like I mentioned previously. Just look at it again. Look at the comparisons. Ugh. Also, can I just point out how insane it is that in Season 3, we're going to finally get in-game reporting? As a feature, they're marketing this. I had completely forgotten that they require you to make a ticket on a completely separate website to report people who are blatantly hacking or being racist. That's wild. A basic feature like reporting cheaters or bigots is being listed as something that's coming as a DLC feature in a future season. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. That's not something you should be bragging about as a positive thing. Just add it into the game. Don't wait for a season. Just add it in there. It doesn't need to be a seasonal perk. It's really important. What the fuck? But don't worry, it's coming. Seems to be 343's new catchphrase when it comes to everything Halo related. All these features and things that were in previous games, they're just not coming. They seem like pipe dreams, and we thought we would get them with stuff added on, but we're not, and it's just depressing. You want playable elites? Fat chance. Infection mode? Nope. Racing? Nah. Assassination customizations and tons of executions? Nope, not gonna happen. Firefight PvE horde mode? Nope, not that either. And the list goes on and on and on. Now, recently, the thing that spurred us to go back and check this game out was the fact that Microsoft has axed 10,000 employees and a lot of 343 staff were hit. This is a pretty substantial thing and would undoubtedly impact the game and make the problems even worse. So we just had to jump back in and see how things like co-op and Forge were implemented before it goes further downhill. To be honest, I haven't played since the first 4 months the game came out. I couldn't. There was nothing to do. It had less players than Battlefield 2042 on PC after 6 months, which, by the way, 2042 is arguably one of the worst shooters ever made, and it was just awful to log into Halo. I hated what it had become and felt like it needed more time before I went back. So just like with Battlefield, Godfoot and I hopped into the game to get a retrospective look at how it's doing now, joined by Maxi this time, which made it complete and utter chaos. And we tried everything it's added and has to offer. And man, I gotta say, just as a prelude, I've never been as mad at how a game handled co-op than I was at Halo Infinite. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our retrospective discussion of Halo Infinite. And boy, are we going to have fun talking to you about our experiences. I'm joined by Godfoot, of course. Maxi was off doing Maxi stuff, but he was here. He was in all the fun multiplayer co-op stuff that we tested. But hello, Godfoot. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty all right. And so Godfoot, Halo Infinite. We went back and we checked it out after all of that slew of stuff I talked about in the intro, and I feel like we gave it a fair shake.
We reasonably tried, as much as we wanted to, because like as much fun as co-op campaign is, it was kind of sloggy to do the rest of it.
I gotta be honest with you, I had not, like I said, I haven't touched Halo since about month 2 or month 3 the game came out. And honestly, it was super disappointing. I just didn't want to play it because the more I played it, the more I disliked the developers. And the more I felt like they just kind of grabbed our money and ran with it. And it really felt like that because basic systems and things like, as was mentioned, like an XP progression, any sort of like cross core stuff, all that stuff was just gone. It wasn't in the game. It felt half finished. It felt like an early access title, and that's being generous.
That's being very generous.
It felt like we were alpha testing more than anything, dude.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad, especially considering the only fun thing to do at the time that we played and when I finished was the Tenrai event in month 1. And then it just dropped off. I didn't see a reason to keep playing it. There was other better games.
Yeah. But that being said, I really wanted to hop in with Godfoot and do the co-op campaign. And you know, when you think of a co-op campaign, Godfoot, you think of how they've done it in previous Halos, where you can join the game and whatever mission your friend's on, you know, you just kind of hop into it, right? Like that makes sense?
Yeah, you know, you just go in, you wait for an invite, you hop in live and you're good to go and you guys have fun, right?
Okay, so if you were to do this the worst possible way imaginable, like, you know, if you felt like you wanted to really scorn your player base, you know, how would you make the co-op experience like miserable? Like if you had to just theoretically pick the worst possible options of like these small little details that would ruin the gaming experience but not make it impossible to play, what would you do?
Remove drop in, drop out. Let's do that first, yeah?
Okay, so let's get rid of drop in, drop out. That's smart. That's smart. Okay.
Join your friends.
Okay, yeah. What would be another thing?
Also, use the wrong person's save files as a basis to continue the campaign. Maybe that. Yeah.
So
want to try some of that?
So
want
what
to elaborate on
Godfoot,
that, though?
yeah, you know what Godfoot's talking about is honestly the biggest thing that frustrated me more than anything. And basically, let me explain this as best as I can because the whole concept is really dumb. When you're playing through Halo Infinite's campaign and say you've started a game and you have about 4 or 5 hours into it and you've done all the extra points of interest, you've cleared a bunch of outposts, you've gone and done a bunch of bounties and stuff, you have progress, right? You're on a certain mission. Well, they decided to make it so that the person who dictates what you're doing in the game is whoever's the furthest behind in the content. And it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you've beaten the game before. If you have a save file that's like further back than your friends. So like in this case, a great example is Requiem, right? Requiem lost a save file. So Requiem wanted to join on us in campaign, and Godfoot and I had played about 4 hours of this. And when Requiem joined, it pulled all of us back to the very first mission of the game, undid all of our progress, and there is no way around it.
It's like there are somehow separate saves that you're making and doing here, which makes it all pointless, entirely pointless. I mean, it's also stupid that your other friend has to play it to the same point as you, not like to a certain point where everything opens up. No, same main mission,
same exact point,
no way around it.
And what's even crazier is it's not just the mission.
If you're ahead of them, you get pulled back.
Period.
So you go through the
End of
slog.
story. Yeah.
Again, there's not even like a vote or like, oh, we'll play on this person's, we'll play on that person, whoever hosts, right? No, doesn't fucking matter. You're stuck doing the same shit again and again and again, just to play with your friends, which you want to progress maybe your own campaign. But to bring them up and do the same stuff, you guys are gonna spend all your time playing that, get bored, and then quit.
It's actually one of the worst designed systems. Like, so what was blowing my mind is I was getting so unbelievably frustrated when we were playing campaign. And let's just say for the record, playing campaign, any Halo campaign with a bunch of your friends, like 1 to 4 friends, is just like, or well, I guess 2 to 4 friends, is just an unbelievable amount of fun. Okay, like when it actually worked and we were playing, killing each other, doing dumb stuff, constantly hitting each other with swords, just like doing really crazy, stupid stuff. Trying to like grapple launch each other. It's just unbelievable amounts of fun. But having to fight all the systems made it almost impossible for me to enjoy. I don't know if you felt the same way.
Yeah, it made doing side stuff pointless. There's no point. You just sit there and wait. And let's say, oh, one of the boys is getting off for the night, right?
Yep.
They're tired. He's like, yeah, you guys can keep going. It's okay. You can't do that.
No, you can't.
When one person's done, you're all done.
That one was so frustrating. Yeah. So it was like, so I was streaming when we were playing this, and I was like, what if someone has to leave, right? So like Godfoot and I played for 4 hours, and then Maxi and Requiem were like, hey, we're gonna join. We'll come play with you guys. We'll just hop in, you know, drop in, because of course drop in, drop out exists. No, it doesn't. You have to go all the way back to the main menu and reform your party and resync your saves, but sync with the person who's done the last. And we go to this menu and it's like, oh, you have to start over the entire thing. And so Godfoot and I were really frustrated. Maxi and Requiem had to speed run to our mission But like I said, it takes the normal everything. It's not just mission locked. All the stuff you've done, like rescuing Marines and everything, all of that gets unsynced. You basically at no point, like Alfred said, can someone just leave. If you want to keep playing with those people, they can't just rejoin you later. You have to quit your game, go to their save, do everything that they didn't do with you to catch up to you again to where you were. Then you have to keep going. But if at any point someone leaves during that experience, you have to stop. And I can't
completely.
I can't
You're
for the
just
life
so
of me.
far desynced at that point. They had to try their best to make it this bad.
They've never
There's
done
no
this
way
in
they're
any other
limited.
game.
How the like 8 months later, co-op beta. What were they doing?
Yeah, it was
Sitting
the
with their
beta.
thumbs up their ass the entire time? You can't make a worse. All they had to do, simple lobby system, right?
Yep.
Just drop in,
Drop in, drop out,
like
dude.
every other sensible game. Just sync it with whoever has the most progress,
Yep.
and then maybe some people like it, some people don't, but have the stuff be brought up so that you do it together.
Look, don't even
Then-
sync it with the who has the most progress. Sync it with the host,
There you go, the host. That way you can choose. It's even better
Yeah.
than like a voting system.
which is what they did in every other game. It was just so frustrating. I cannot express how mad I was. It's to the point where I almost stopped playing with my friends. I didn't want to do it. I hate wasting time more than anything. And I think Godfoot, you're right there with me, where if as a player or anything, if I spend 4 hours doing something and then I have to go do it again because none of it counted because I want to play with my friends or in any situation, I get fucking pissed, dude. I get so unbelievably mad. And there was a point where Maxi was like finishing downloading the game and I was like, man, I can't do this. I don't want to play this. I don't want to do this over again. And you know, I begrudgingly did, and we just kind of screwed around and killed each other for a little bit. But it was like, it basically was, the campaign was handled in the literal worst possible way they could have done it. And it's fun, but if you expect to play with friends and you want to play through the whole thing, just make sure that you just are there for each other the whole time. Because if anyone drops out, it's going to hurt the experience of everyone else.
Personally, I'm just not sure about the open world. It feels kind of boring, man.
It's
It
very
feels
samey. Yeah.
It's just run here, do this, take this space, do that. I feel like this could have been done without the open world, and we wouldn't be missing much, honestly.
So they wanted the open world to be a lot more than it ended up being, with like dynamic war territories and all this other stuff they
See,
talked
that would have
about.
been cool as hell.
Yeah,
That
and
would've
like
been,
a
like, a
dynamic
great
war
way
where
to
you're
use
like
it.
helping random Marines fight other things and stuff would have been cool. But Godfoot's right. And for context, Godfoot never played the campaign. His co-op experience was the first time he ever played Halo Infinite, right?
Well,
The
first time I played
campaign of Halo, yeah.
yes. I didn't even bother when it came out. So I was like, I don't think, was it even in the game when it came
It
out?
was, I believe,
was?
but there was a multiplayer
Okay.
beta.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, well, in that case, I pretty much only did multiplayer.
Yeah.
That's it. Didn't even try Forge yet, personally, but I do kind of want to, because the way you're telling me it sounds cool. We'll talk about it later, though.
Yep.
I also don't, I don't know, it's like, they didn't utilize it properly. Why is it that if we get too far away from each other,
Oh yeah, that's
we just
another thing.
spring back in the same place?
You're not
So it's
allowed to
So we
separate.
can't split up. Like, let's say me and you want to go and like do this particular mission while Max and Rec go out and do their own thing, like go do a different mission, like
Yep.
one of those open world ones.
Like
Well,
a
too bad
fire
you
team,
can't.
yeah.
You can't even do two things at the same time, I'm pretty sure. You
No.
just have to be, you just have to be like zip-lining with each other, just like running around doing the same shit.
Well, you
waddling
know
over one
why
place to the
that
next.
you know why that happened, right? Tethered co-op. They had a huge argument and
Tethered co-op.
discussion about it when they were designing the co-op, because the Xbox isn't powerful enough to handle it. It has to be
Yep.
tethered. And so they were talking about how you need to be in the same area because the console just doesn't have the capability to deal with people being in different parts of unloaded areas on the world and sending that data and stuff. And it was a technical
just
failure.
dumb.
And
Personally, I think the map is the map we were on wasn't even that big anyway.
no, it's not that big and
Can't
it's not
imagine
that
it's
detailed. Yeah.
impossible. It's literally just trees, mountains, hexagon things that stick out of the void.
Fucking hexagon things. Yeah.
I don't
Everywhere.
know, a couple of bases here and there. Not really much to load. The skybox. Oh. I just don't see it.
It's just, I don't know. There were so many things they could have done to summarize the campaign that would have made it way better. And our experience with it was just like, it felt like every time we started to have fun, another one of these things popped up. Like, for example, we figured out the tethering thing when we were like, okay, we'll all split up and complete the stuff that we have to redo again very, very quickly. You know, like 4 Spartans hitting 4 different bases at once. Really easy to do. It'll go super fast. Game was like, no, you have to go around together and redo every little thing in order or go fuck yourself.
We can't even choose who to spawn on. If one of us had died, and let's say there wasn't tether co-op, then we would just been transported back to wherever you were if we weren't with you.
Yep.
And then we could go hobble all the way back.
I guess it's just really disappointing that they didn't learn from their launch, right? And like I said, you know, all the stuff in the intro is just them making really poor decisions over and over again. I mean, all you have to do to see how badly this game was handled, and pretty much in any aspect, is to look again at the Halo 5 roadmap versus the Halo Infinite roadmap, and just notice that there were more maps added in the first month of Halo 5 than the entire first year of Halo Infinite. And you can really tell that their focus was on making money with microtransactions, because Microsoft is a massive multi-billion dollar, hundreds of billion dollar company, and 343 basically had all the assets at their disposal, and they just were focusing on microtransactions. They were focusing on battle pass, live service stuff. It felt like co-op was an afterthought after trying it with Godfoot. And
it actually was.
And I gotta say,
feels half-assed.
Yeah, and I gotta say, this transitions really well into how multiplayer felt too. And don't get me wrong, multiplayer feels better. There's a lot more modes, even though a lot of them are temporary. Like Tactical Ops playlist was temporary, Cyber event was temporary, you know, attrition was temporary. All these months events were temporary. Some of the winter events were temporary, like, you know, the interference. You know, they added more game modes though, like Slayer and FFA and SWAT and Fiesta and all this stuff. But
month 2, yeah,
it still feels so bare bones, especially when you just look at the fact that they've only added like 2 to 4 maps by now during this conversation. And I think we had like 20 new maps in the first year of Halo 5.
It was a lot. It was a lot more of everything. Halo 5 got way more support. It wasn't even the live service they're pushing with this. It was literally just a game, but it got way more support.
It was just a game they wanted to add more stuff to and do support for. And it's just, I don't even know, man. It was also one of those things where multiplayer was so bad because you couldn't level up your battle pass without doing challenges, and there was no player XP, that a lot of the drive was just gone. And they kind of added like the XP beta where you get XP for playing matches and whatnot in like November, December. But to me, it felt like multiplayer is just kind of samey, especially when you consider that there's really not that many people playing on PC. And when you go look at the numbers, it's like 4,000 or 5,000, and it's just, you see the same people, you get the same matches, you're fighting sweats and tryhards, and it just, multiplayer doesn't feel like multiplayer. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. It just, it gets old quick now, which is a shame. I mean, of course, you know, a couple people that I left are all absolute try-hard sweat lords, you know, food stains on them, just crunching in their mom's basement. I don't know. It doesn't feel right. It's just, it's not enjoyable. And then playing the same damn maps again and again, challenges that you're supposed to do to progress your battle pass to get more cosmetics are basically all feel the same, or they're just stupid.
You do at least progress through other means now. But yeah, I don't know. It feels like, I guess, like not even a fifth of what Halo 5's multiplayer was. And I didn't like Halo 5's campaign, but Halo 5's multiplayer was awesome, dude. And it was so much content all the time, new game modes, new maps. I mean, they even added what was the name of the game mode where they had like Warzone Firefight, where they just had like AI PvP or PvE, where it was like all of you versus massive waves of enemies. It was good. It was just good, dude.
And now here we can all just run around and grapple slide and everybody and just kill them, you know, abuse skewers and swords and call it good, right? That's a fun time, you ask me. All in the same places.
Yep. I just like how you pointed out that they didn't even have free-for-all in when the game came out. And these basic game modes that were at launch for so many of the other Halo games just being flaunted. They're just being flaunted as like seasonal bonuses. It's like, bro, that's the bare minimum. Like, of course, free-for-all should have been in the game.
So looking over like the actual, you know, content roadmap, I thought they're just clutching at straws.
Yeah,
that's how it feels. Yeah, make it look a little bit bigger, make it look a little bit better. You know, UI changes, Don't know what those were in 1.6, but I'll tell you what, I don't see a difference.
Yeah, what you should look at is look at the roadmap specifically for Infinite that I linked you, where it shows the season 3. By the way, I just want to say season 3 still hasn't started, Godfoot. I know you heard the intro and everything. It's still going. They call it the winter update, quote unquote, but season 3 doesn't start till March 7th. It still hasn't started. We're still in season 2.
Yeah, it's not really winter, is it?
Yeah, and there's just a lot of things still missing. I think the biggest thing is the fact that there's no in-game reporting, and I could not believe. Oh, and a custom game browser.
Oh,
there's no custom game browser and in-game reporting. I think that was. I had to do a double take and rewrite part of the script because just seeing that I have no way to report someone who's just repeatedly calling me the N-word.
Well, you have to go to a separate website out of the game to report. Who's gonna actually take the effort to do that?
Nobody's gonna do that. Yeah.
Who's really gonna do so that then you get reports that don't work, right? And now flaunting is something that's gonna be added in and be like, hey, if we're bringing it in, guys, be happy. Like, wait, why isn't it here from the start? It would have been really nice,
Or hackers. That's the other thing is there's tons of hackers.
Hackers too.
Yeah, and speed hackers, god moding, like teleporting, aimbotting. No way to report them in game. And it seems like for a competitive game when they were focusing, because they wanted to be Warzone, dude. They essentially even said they wanted to turn Halo into the next Call of Duty franchise. And like, they didn't even have something basic like reporting in their game. I don't know how competent it was going to be, but I mean, multiplayer, it's better, but it's not even as good as Halo 5's was at launch. And that's just sad. I mean, you can still hop in, you can still have fun. More fun than what you used to because there's new weapons, new vehicles, things like that. But it's still just not where it should be.
It's like, why would I waste my time playing this, even if it is Halo, barely? And I'll just play something else. I'll actually play COD or Battlefield. No, maybe not. Not Battlefield. Just COD.
We'll go back to Battlefield 5, maybe. Yeah. So yeah, now to talk about the arguably best, but also one of the most disappointing things I've ever had to deal with in a Halo game, and that's Forge. So Godfoot, Forge is awesome in concept, right? Like you and I hopped in.
Forge is great. I mean, yeah, we just did some, and this is gonna sound a bit contrary to what we were talking about earlier, because this is the first time that Dell played it multiplayer like with another friend. Yeah. And then we just realized we can't matchmake.
No,
we cannot matchmake, which is ridiculous. There's no server browser. There's no nothing.
Yeah. So when I was playing earlier and I was playing these custom apps, I was playing with a lot of other people and I didn't realize there was no like randoms. And as a streamer, I kind of like didn't realize that it was only join only. But yeah, so Forge has a lot of custom map modes and it's really cool. Some of the stuff we've got, as you can see in the background, I mean, Godfoot and I were running around a Walmart. And then we were also playing Rust from Call of Duty on Halo, which honestly was pretty fun with gun game mixed in. But there's no actual ability to play with randoms right now, as there's no custom game server browser, which is the thing that's being listed in season 3 as coming. But like, come on, dude. I didn't know. Like, it's so cool, and yet it's half finished like everything else.
This is a huge disappointment. Like that, this could have been something crazy, right?
Yeah.
But then they whiffed it.
I don't understand why you would put this in and then not have a custom game browser right away to be able to play this, because it's just
like I was saying to Dell, like it's kind of hard to get like a bunch of your friends to all play the same game at the same time.
Yeah,
that won't happen very often. So what's even the point? Besides like looking over and like appreciating someone else's work, what's the point?
I have no idea. It's right now, it just seems like a moot point. And don't get me wrong, it was fun with a couple of people. And it was fun playing on some of these maps, like, you know, like the racing maps, the death maps, the like gauntlet maps, like all that stuff's fun. But without a random browser to join and mess with people in these custom maps, it's crazy. And what's crazier is that custom maps and like stuff came out with Forge on Halo 5. And again, it's just another thing that they handed to us that was like 1/5 baked. And yes, you can make amazing, awesome, extravagant maps in this game in Forge, but like you can't like
no
play.
Way to utilize them.
Yeah,
zero way to utilize them at all.
And so it's just another big disappointment onto the pile that's Halo. And I guess the question to ask now, Godfoot, is would you recommend for anyone to come back to Halo Infinite?
unless you're a streamer or someone who has a lot of like gaming friends to be able to enjoy stuff together on Forge with, no. Now there's pretty much no reason to come back. I see why the player numbers are so low. There's just nothing to do.
Yeah,
like genuinely fun.
Forge was
That
kind of
works.
like our last big hope for something that was fun, and it's like the potential's there, but it's another one of those things where it's like this is over a year and a couple months since launch. It came out in November of 2021, and it's now January of 2023, and the game just still feels like it's just chunks are missing. It feels like there's, you know, you said earlier, no passion, nothing behind it, and every time I get excited for something like that they add to this game, we go and we play it or check it out, and there's nothing. It's just not
It's
done.
shot down.
Yeah. And so I guess in conclusion of all of this with our revisit, I think 343 should lose the license. And honestly, you know, hot and tough take, but I think a lot of the developers and people that were in charge of this deserved to be fired. I mean, they did a really poor job. They botched a project and a product, and they did a lot of really awful decision making, and it led to the downfall of one of the best games and game franchises that have ever existed. And I don't know, it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I feel like I have no hype for the next Halo, and it's hard to say that.
But yeah, it's all gone. I don't trust him at all. This is supposed to be the last Halo game. Soggy way to end it. This is still Master Chief Collection. But
yeah, which also came out
Halo-
broken. Let's talk about, like, you know, briefly. Master Chief Collection came out in the same exact state of completely broken, unplayable, released in chunks, just dog water, as Godfoot likes to say. But it's like, this keeps happening, man. I don't know. Microsoft, get your shit together. Pick another company to do this. Fire 343. Stop letting these decisions be made. I don't know. Like, that's all I got to say about this. It wasn't worth going back. They haven't changed pretty much anything. They added more game modes, and I don't know.
Don't buy the game if you haven't already bought it. Sorry if you already did. But it's just too late.
Yeah, let us know what you think of the changes and whether or not you think we're dead on the money, or you have a different opinion than us down below. If you like the video, hit the like button. Always subscribe if you're new to the channel and you're not a subscriber. And yeah, until the next video, this is Delrith and Godfoot, and we'll be seeing you. Bye.
Bye.